Aye. Yeah.
For this a long time.
Let's go.
Here goes buddy, money, there. Joe's paranormal. Money, there. Joey paranormal. Joey
Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Lepre, King Michael. This is Legit Paranormal, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. It is August 14th, 2022. Let's see, 0814-2022. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus another 2 is 6, minus 4 is 2. I got nothing. There's absolutely nothing in there for the math geeks. Joining me always is Buddy Money Bear. What's up, buddy?
Oh, good evening, Mike. How you doing? How you doing tonight?
Buddy, I haven't stopped. I have not stopped. Actually, this is stopping for me. This is actually me stopping.
It's a nice, relaxing Sunday evening here on Legit Paranormal. It's been a busy weekend, Mike.
Yes.
But we're sitting here. We're going to relax. I'm in the mountains. It's a beautiful day here in the mountains. I'm drinking a beautiful beer.
Yeah.
And we got a beautiful guest on. If he, if he realizes the time difference and the time zone thing and that we're on. Now,
I'm going to claim that it was your fault and that you gave him the wrong information. That's what I'm going with.
Right. Even though I give out the same information to every guest we have on live at 7:05, I'm sure it was a mistranslation on my part, Mike. Absolutely.
So we will wait. We'll give some time. I mean, of course. Let us bring in.
Why we wait? While we wait.
All right. Before your beer.
Oh, yeah. Let's start, Mike.
So I want to bring in Joey Paranormal. What's up, Joe?
Not much, man. I, like you, understand the grind. I've been going nonstop since like the last 7 or 8 days, and it's nice to get to wind back and relax. And we saw the fruits of some of our labor earlier, and now we just get to have a nice little conversation.
Joe, you got to go see a band, though, a concert. You get to go do things like that. Me personally, I literally was either sweating, wearing a Civil War hat, or I was standing in front of, man, let me tell you something. The toughest part about making a movie is editing. There ain't no doubt about that. Like editing, going through what we took, the 300, almost 400 video clips was like, oh my gosh.
In my defense, I had work last week and drill the weekend before. So going to see a band on Saturday night was a well-deserved little, nice little deviation from the norm. So, buddy, you should be making that violin for Mike up there.
I don't need a violin.
I don't either.
I was there the whole time. You know what? I get to the point where it was like we wrote it. So all right, so we should tell everybody. We're waiting for Barry Fitzgerald to join us, right? Buddy, we'll get to you in a second.
Yeah, sure.
Barry will hopefully be joining us soon. But what we're discussing is that this weekend we participated in the Providence 48-hour film festival. Now, what that basically is it's a film festival where you have 48 hours. They give you a genre, a character, line of dialogue, and a prop. And you have to make a movie in 48 hours, right? And get it all in and all that stuff. It's going to be under 7 minutes. More than 3 on the 7, or more than 4, something like that. Anywho, I made sure that we entered. I was persistent with it. I don't know if you guys were fully on board with it when you first heard about me trying to push it, but I always explain, have faith if I really get excited about something, because if I'm really excited about something, I can see the second level, and I know like there's a chance we can that we can pull this off. So we decided to make that movie, and went down to the kickoff party with Buddy Money there, which, by the way, if you don't officially change your nickname to Buddy Money there, you're just missing out. You're missing
Mike,
out.
this is the paranormal show. I don't want to crisscross the genres. I want to keep them separate, right? So
Yeah, I'm not crossing
Paranormal
genres. You're just money. Period.
I'm Buddy Money. I'm Buddy Money there on the betting stuff. But this
Who
is
said I'm not talking about gambling?
Yeah, there's no gambling, man.
You're just money.
Nobody gambles in Rhode Island.
Money.
You're money. Period. So, anyways, what happened was, went down with Buddy, and Buddy, we picked. She seemed like she was picking on us. Did she not, though, Buddy?
We were the outsiders, Mike. We were the non-filmmakers.
But didn't it seem like she wanted to get me to like
Those
be
guys.
be one of the people that first picked?
Right.
Like she purposely stared at us as if
She stared you down through the crowd, and she's like, "I want that guy to come here."
And remember, and
He
what I
has
did
to pick first.
Remember what I did though when she looked at me? I looked behind me.
Right.
I really did.
Me?
Like she just was picking on our team. I don't know why. I don't know why because
She called us the outsiders when we checked in, Mike. We were obviously
outliers.
Outliers. We were wolves in sheep clothing, Mike.
Yeah, that was even worse.
Or sheep's and wolves clothing.
Yeah,
So
either way. We're trying to fool somebody and sneak into their circle and take their circle because that's what our film is going to do.
You know, I don't even care if
the Academy Award for the best supporting male actor in a dramatic film.
I don't think it'll win a single thing, and I'm not. And I don't even care about that.
It's me. It's me. It's King Mike Lepre.
So I'm being serious. I don't care if it wins a single thing, but here's what I'm proud of. So the way that it went together was, I wrote down who I could get to participate in this, when they were available, and what the pros were and cons were of every single one of us. So to get Gentleman Dave on Friday night,
that was cute,
to sit with me and just drink, and the two of us riff and write, was key, because that's how I did almost 4 albums. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
If you think about it, I've been right with the kid since I was 17. So me and him have the same sort of brain when it comes to like dumb comedy and like the way we pitch things. Mm-hmm. So somehow, and I'm not bragging, somehow we came up with a way to come up with a movie that had a plot and an ending all in like 7 minutes. So I was like saying to Dave last night, I'm like, Dave, if we can get this down, we're going to be in good shape. Like, because I think we actually have something, right? And then I'm like, so then we went and shot with Joey, and there's Jeff. Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff Ahern.
Oh my God.
You made half the movie, dude. You made half the movie.
I hope I didn't sweat in it too much. So anyways, the first crew was the cemetery crew, and me and Joey Paranormal Shooting. We had my daughter step in as the lead actress. We actually wrote the whole thing thinking Joe would be the main actor. And then Joe, I mean, dead serious. And then Joe just could not do it. Jeff, like We'll probably be able to get you to see it soon, but it'll be available.
Screening.
There's actually no. We should talk about Joe. Figure out what the date is because there is a movie premiere night for all the different films.
Well, the date's the 16th, Tuesday the 16th.
It's Tuesday 16th. We're the 7 o'clock.
We're Group A.
Group
that
A.
sucks. I'm working.
Listen, no, it doesn't suck. Here's a big thing. If we get a good group of people to come out to see us, you can win the best crowd. That's one of the big major awards, right? There's a
Nice.
bunch of things. The Met Cafe should be our home turf, for Christ's
Right.
sake.
Right. You played that
So-
how many times?
Forget about it. How many times? Every reunion show. So what I'm saying is all these people that are out there that support us, you're coming out this Thursday coming up at the Parlor. We're doing a legit paranormal party. We got 6 speakers still because we just added Joe. Oh boy, don't let me forget his last name. Your friend Joe. Joe, you know Joe Raynone.
Right on.
God
You
damn
said
it.
that, Joe. Good for you, Mike.
Yeah, I just said, Joe, I'll put you on. You're in. We're good. We'll get you down.
Look at you.
So this
Look.
Thursday at the Parlor, we're doing actually like a
Week from
night.
Thursday.
No, it's this.
Oh, it's this Thursday,
it's
Joe.
this Thursday, Joe.
I thought it was the 18th.
What
It
today?
is,
Oh, I'm
Joe.
all messed
The
up.
18th is this Thursday.
I'm all
Jesus.
messed up then.
Yeah, I know
This
you
guy
are.
is defending our country. Go on.
All right, so listen to me. Yeah, this Thursday we're gonna have an incredible night.
I'm defending the Humvees, buddy. It's a big different story. There's a reason they only let me work on Humvees.
Right, you
Mm.
changed the gaskets. I forget.
Incredible night of paranormal personalities
Mm.
at the Parlor. How many more P's can I use? Legit paranormal party with paranormal personalities. Right?
Mm.
They're gonna all speak. We'll have some music. There'll be some Lysics in the building to talk about Block Island.
Mm.
Buddy and myself will be on stage. Maybe we'll do some comedy. You never know with us.
Never know.
Let's see. On top of that, so after that,
Yeah,
back
you
to-
know me.
back to the movie. So we filmed this for the 48-hour film festival. I reached into the little thing, grabbed an egg, and it gave us the 2 genres we could pick from. Now, I was hoping for comedy. That's obvious. I was hoping for mockumentary the most.
Mm.
I was hoping for musical because I was gonna do a gangster rap musical.
That would have been
I
awesome, dude.
thought That
That
would
would've
have
been
been awesome. Like, yo, pass the border, cause you know what I mean? Like, just like a fan, just would be great. Period. But I reached in and I pulled out drama or family film. Now, family film just made my stomach turn. 'Cause I didn't want to film a family film. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it because if I do it, it's not going to be the type of family that they're accustomed to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we went with drama. And I sat down with Mr. Evans. And here's the thing. Prior to doing this, did I not, buddy, ask for the locations photos so I could get an idea of what I had to
You
work
did,
with?
and I thought I provided. Didn't I provide those to you?
Yes, you
Yeah,
did. But you wondered. I think you guys wondered why I'm asking for this stuff. I asked for all these different things because
No, you wanted your film eye. You wanted that thing, right? You
I wanted
do that?
I want to know what I had for characters, like what I could get for gear to make a character. I want to know what I could use for locations, right? These are all things
Right.
I had. Even the bar itself, my bar, I used as a location. We wrote all these things down, and we went with the best character we could use, best locations, and then we had to figure out what's a plot. How are we going to come up with a plot? Like, what's a redemption thing, or what's what in 6 minutes, literally. And we went with this. What we went with. I hope it went out good. I think you guys did an amazing job. I think we all did a great job. I think we did a better job than I thought we would. How about that? Like, I think I was hoping for a B. I really was, and I think we might have got an A minus, but still, I think we're up.
The way you filmed in East Greenwich, Mike, that was beautiful. On the side street like that was classic.
Joe, you saw the finished product. What do you think?
Yeah, it came out a lot better than I don't want to say better than I expected, but to see or hear your vision Saturday morning and then actually like get to see it drawn out, it's exactly how I would have wanted it to come out from the start of filming Saturday morning. So it was definitely great to see it put out as well as it was. I guess that's the best way to put it.
I think it was great to have you guys along for a like to do something like this, just in the sense of like, because there's so much planning and weird like details that people just gloss over, but you can't gloss over them. You know what I mean? You gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta pay attention to really stupid details when you're doing things like this, and you gotta pre-plan stupid things. Like, here's a simple thing, but you might pass by it. If we don't film the ending while we're filming the beginning, we would have been screwed. You know what I'm trying to say? Like a simple thing like that. Like,
Right.
if we just filmed in chronological order, not thinking where do we need to film certain shots, like piecing it together. Because I know that it sounds easy and simple, but some people don't think like that. And they put themselves in a situation where they're like, oh, goddamn, we got to go back to the first location and shoot the ending, and now it's night. You know what I mean? Because it's just how that works. So we pulled all that off. I was proud of us on that. Other than that, we'll see. I mean, they have their certain taste for what they like for movies. I thought we gave them great visuals, a lot of cool angles, just a different vibe. So we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us as a group. I can't wait to have a party on Thursday. That's what I figured. I can't wait to have a party on Thursday night.
Should mute, buddy.
Hello.
What up,
How you
Joe?
doing, Gary?
Are you coming Thursday?
Yeah, I'll be able to hang out for a little while.
For just a little bit?
Well, I mean, I get up for work at 5, so I'm not trying to stay the whole night because I got to be in bed. But I'll probably be there till like 9 or 10, maybe. Probably 9, and then I'll duck out.
I can't believe you young people. Like, if I had to get up at 5 at your age, and I'm not lying to you, I know you think I am. If I got to bed by 1, I was good. Literally. Drunk.
Sleep apnea is a bitch. I don't sleep well, so if I don't get at least 6 hours, it's just not a good day for me.
Come on, Joe. Come on, Joey. Jeez,
hey, it's a new job, man. I'm trying to be, as good as I can be. So
Joe, as we're waiting for Buddy to come back, here he is. I can't hear you, buddy. You're on mute. You're muted. Nope, your microphone. Try it again.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Barry Fitzgerald is on his way.
All right. Your microphone's still a little messed up.
All right, I'll turn up the volume a little bit here, Mike.
There you go.
On.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to step away for 1 second.
All right, buddy, do your beer of the week really quick.
I would love to do my beer. So this week's guest, as I was saying, is a gentleman by the name of Barry Fitzgerald. Barry Fitzgerald once was a paranormal investigator with SyFy's Ghost Hunters. He then went on to, Mike, are you like conducting my
yeah, man, get it in. Go. Get your
I'm
beer
very
in.
lyrical. Okay. So he was part of the group called TAPS. TAPS, the TAPS family is originated right here in Warwick, Rhode Island, right where Joey Paranormal is residing. One of Warwick, Rhode Island's famous and most fantastic beers is Proclamation Beer Company. Proclamation Ale Company, rather. And that leads me to tonight's beer of the week. I called Joey Paranormal yesterday. I'm like, Joe, have you been to Proclamation lately? What beer should I get for this week's beer of the week? He told me to get Mystery Hack. This is what everybody's talking about. It's a single IPA, which is weird for me because usually I do the doubles. It's only 7% alcohol by volume. It's an IPA. It's made with Citra, and Sentinel hops. If anybody knows anything about that, it's kind of tropical-ish and fruity, but not too fruity. It's a subtle fruitiness. It's absolutely delicious.
Are you talking about my shirt?
It's like your shirt, Mike, but in a beer. Oh. And it's absolutely delicious. And I can have a bunch of them because they're only 7%, but I can't have too many because they're 7%.
Can I say something for a second?
Please, Mike.
You may have a problem if you keep saying only 7%.
Last night when I went to the brewery,
I don't want to know.
I tasted this one, which is the single. They had a double, and then they had a triple. So I had all three of them. And this one was by far, by taste, this was the best beer that they had.
Can you do the
to the Taps family, which our guest tonight is a member of, and Warwick, Rhode Island, and Proclamation Ale Company. Cheers. Speaking of our guest, longtime paranormal investigator from Northern Ireland originally. You're from Ireland now, I take it. A cast member of Ghost Hunters International on the SyFy channel for all 56 episodes, I believe, or 58. Author, awesome guy, joining us live, Barry Fitzgerald. Welcome to the show, Barry.
Good morning, gentlemen. And again, my apologies. It seems that I can't work out time zones.
That's fine. Barry, what time is it there?
It's just gone 12:30.
Oh, wow. All right.
Awesome. Thank you
so much for joining. Thanks for being on so late.
You're very welcome, Mike.
Couple things. So I got to tell you, I was watching a couple of your YouTube videos, and so one, the production value is fantastic. Like the whole low. I don't even know if you're using iMovie, but just the beginning is always so grabbing, and your voice is perfect for voiceovers. I mean, it made me jealous because, like, I have a very distinct voice, but you would not want to hear me talk about dragons. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want to hear, like, because I'm the Italian to your Irish. You wouldn't want to hear, and there's this dragon, you know, he was breathing fire, I guess, you know, burnt, you know, he burned horses. He did what he had to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to hear that. You have such a, like, I listen to the dragon ones. I listened to the one about giants. And then I was starting to really go back to Stigmata and other things that you did.
Yeah.
I glossed over the fairy ones, not because, you know, the old school guy, oh, I'm out, just because they scare me, fairies, like elementals and things like that. So honestly, I'm scared of them more than I am hearing about dragons and giants. Yeah. But anyways, amazing job on the YouTube video. Seriously.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Is that all you? Are you doing that all you? Is that because your channel? So are you doing all the production and?
That's all me. And the wife, of course, she has also said that shared your sentiments that I need to start doing audiobooks for Amazon. But the damnable thing is, I'm dyslexic, so it would take me forever to read the audiobook. So I would have a problem with that.
Yeah. My daughter's dyslexic, and you're right. You'd have to listen to an audiobook to read the audiobook. It's a waste of time. You're the middleman. You would just be a middleman.
So it takes me a long time to write my own books, never mind read someone else's.
But if they ever ask for a book where there's like an Italian and an Irish guy and they go into a bar, let me know.
We've got it. We'll have nailed it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This show was started based on the fact that just like Buddy and Joey are in Ocean State Paranormal, which is a local paranormal investigating group.
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing about it. I just do other podcasts, sports, whatnot. Got into it about 2 years ago, and it's been like a college course, like learning different things every week, whatnot. Finding things I believe in, finding things I don't believe in, and trying to like cut through. But what I missed was in 2003, I had twins. So from like about 2002 to about, I want to say 2010, 11, I didn't watch TV. So I was so behind on Ghost Hunters. I was like, Ghost Hunters? What? I was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? I've been out for this many years. I was like, oh, let me catch up. I don't know what's going on. So I never really watched all of it. I never get a chance. So it's not like I'm jumping into it now. And what I appreciate is like, I see where some people have gone from the different shows that they did. what you're talking about, where you're going, I think is a great niche. Like, I think the whole Irish law, sticking with that, that's a great way to go. Not like
Yeah.
you need my
Cheers.
advice. I just think it's a fantastic way to go. Like,
Absolutely.
what made you say like that? Did you just lean into who you were, like, to start doing this?
I think, Mike, it was whenever I was doing the extensive travel with GHI, I was meeting with different cultures around the world. So, I was able to meet some Aboriginal folks in Australia, the Maori in New Zealand, and that continued right around the planet. But what I found fascinating was that they were describing a phenomenon in which they were interacting with, their ancestors were interacting with, that in description was absolutely identical to what we were experiencing on this island in the Northern Hemisphere. And that puzzled me greatly. I was saying, how is this possible that we're seeing the same thing, identifying it differently? But in the way that it presents itself and the way that it interacts with us remained the same. And that puzzled me greatly. And I said, there's something more in this. So when GHI was rolling to an end, I was already starting to migrate into the Legend Seeker project with Cormac Drain, another author here in Ireland. And we started venturing into these particular areas within our own landscape where these stories had developed. And what we wanted to do was to place ourselves in that environment and see if there was anything of the original aspect of that particular legend, if it still existed. Now, I have to say that in 30 years of doing ghost hunting, we were not in any means ready for what we were about to encounter with the myths and legends, because that has really blown me away. In fact, one of the encounters was that extreme. I said to Cormac, if we ever come across that again, I'm finished. I'm retiring. That's it. We're done. And to give you an example,
that's going to be pretty extreme.
Yeah,
you want to consider doing that.
I'll give you an example. There was a mountain in the center of Ireland, and the people that used to live in the mountain, during the middle of the night, the blankets were being ripped off their beds and they were being pulled out of bed. So this continued to a level in which the people just left. They abandoned the houses and was left. Now the site remained there vacant for a long time, until one of the locals came along and bought the entire, more or less, mountain top, and he wanted to open a quarry in it. So when he opened the quarry, all hell broke loose. The moment that he broke ground, all hell broke loose, and machinery that was working, brand new machinery that was working before it got to the site, refused to work on site. It was taken back off the site and it worked again. Instruments that they were using were not working properly. All this was going wrong. And then they started building the business sheds. And one of the guys was in the tool shed working with a table saw. He was clubbed in the back of the head, fell forward and took his fingers off of the saw. This other figure was seen moving across the courtyard and into the office buildings, where it absolutely destroyed the accommodation within the office buildings. All the religious iconography were being smashed to powder, and every time the church was being brought in, it was getting incrementally worse time and time again, until it got to a stage where the church says, we can do nothing more with this. You need to stop this. We come across something similar in South Africa and we can't do anything more with it. So I was, of course, naturally very, very curious as to what was going on. But the owner of the property then had an Italian guy living. He was an Italian driver, and he was living in part of the accommodation block. And every time he went out and he locked the door was being ripped off the hinges. And again, he was the one responsible for the religious iconography, and it was being smashed to a pulp. He then brought in German shepherds, and they, very big security dogs, and all 4 dogs were murdered on site. This thing did not take prisoners. So when we started to delve into that, the first thing we wanted to do was to see, okay, what did our ancestors pick up on? So I delved into the archaeological records and had a look at the ancient sites that predominantly would have been on the mountain, only to find out there were none on the mountain. There were thousands around the mountain, but none on the mountain. That speaks volumes, because they knew even back then this place is not to be messed with.
Right.
And we came along in our new age ignorance and decided, well, we can do whatever the hell we want. And so this all unfolded. The quarry ended up being shut down. It couldn't operate any longer. We had our own experiences there as well. And when we were concluding the story, we ended up coming across a second quarry that had been opened in Galway. And the people there that are walking their dogs through the old quarry are being thrown to the floor. There's huge pieces of equipment being thrown over the fence into the second quarry, smashing the equipment that's in the second quarry.
Barry, question though. One, I can't believe they kept going when the equipment didn't work. 2, did they identify? Did they give an identification of what they were seeing? Like this thing that was ripping through. Did anyone say, I saw something?
Yes, they saw a figure, but they never saw its face. It was always walking away from them. And they described it as it appeared to be a man that was walking away from them.
All right. And it went right through the whole thing, and it killed all the dogs. See, I always freak out about superstitions, is what I call them. Like when there's the same superstition like across the country or even just in another state, it always weirds me out, because there's got to be an origin for all of these superstitions for them to be told. So for them to be told in all these different places, like you're saying right now, I go down YouTube rabbit holes on stuff like that, because it's like, how can there be these superstitions or whatever, these laws in different areas and no truth behind them? So that's basically what you're saying. So digging up the quarries, digging up the ground, is this the belief that that there is something going on below us as far as
well, yes, there are certain areas that we're not meant to be working with, and certain particular areas that we shouldn't be in. You know, there used to be a custom when planning a house, for instance, in Ireland, where we put 4 corner posts down and tied a rope around them. And if one of the corner posts was knocked down, well, then we had to shift the position of the house and repeat the experiment until all posts were stood up the following day, and that was the house approved. Again, that was just working with whatever was in the landscape to give its approval. Where nowadays we don't do that. Nowadays we go to someone sitting in an office and he looks it up and goes, yeah, that's okay. And doesn't look at anything further. And there is a huge amount of trouble that develops over that. I know one particular property in the north there, which was a new build, and the poltergeist phenomena that appeared through it was phenomenal. So, you know, it happens. It's one of those things. But it's something that, you know, we wanted to delve into to see, well, what is out there? What were our ancestors dealing with that we're also seeing today? And even to find records even of things that they've seen flying through the sky are something we can identify today. The record, the written records are there, that they encountered, what they were seeing and what they were describing, and how that is very relevant today about what's happening within the world.
Before I get into my next question, which is going to be about dragons, because I have this odd thing about it. Buddy, you want to ask something?
I do. I really do. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. So, Barry, most of the guests that we have on are of our generation that grew up like as young adults, or like Joey Paranormal, grew up watching Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. most people will tell you that they base most of their paranormal investigations on the tactics seen on TV. As a paranormal investigator, as a long-time paranormal investigator, one who investigated before Ghost Hunters and after, any of those methods are something that you use today, as far as like EVP sessions or using K2s or using REM pods or anything like that you
Well, you see, the problem is when you start introducing too much equipment, that can cause a problem within our brain, and our brain is a key factor when we're researching the paranormal. You see, when we have too much equipment, we've got flashing lights, we're watching gauges, we're watching cameras, we're watching a whole range of things that's going on during an investigation, which many of it, we gotta admit, is all BS.
Yeah, that's I think what buddy's asking, like, what's bullshit, what's not bullshit.
Right, exactly.
Most of the equipment is not even designed to do what it's claimed to do. So when we've got all this equipment that we're focusing on, what that's doing is locking us into the conscious brain. Our cell phones do the very same thing. We have the cell phone in our hand all the time. It's locking us into the left-hand hemisphere of the brain, our conscious brain. That's where the problems are worked out. So we're consciously linking with the equipment through that and not listening to our instinct, which is in the other side. And our instinct can tell us a huge amount from a case. And, we can see within the laboratory tests and everything else how effective the body can be. In fact, the body's instinct outperforms billion-dollar pieces of equipment countless times. Mm-hmm. The Homeland Security guys are a perfect example there. You've got all this wonderful millions of dollars being spent on security equipment, yet it just takes one guy to stop someone and say, wait a minute, and something didn't feel right. What is that feeling that didn't feel right? And that's what we're exploring within the laboratory.
Barry, as a paranormal investigator, I walk through a location before we start investigating, and with the place where my body reacts the most is where I usually start my investigation.
Yeah.
Maybe my body picking up on different energies. I don't know, but that's usually where I start.
Or it could be just a personal problem that you need to attend to, buddy. Now,
maybe Mike.
Barry, the left, right. I have kind of a theory on that, though. Like, I use the left side to not think about problems that will come up on the right side, if that makes sense. I use my phone and stuff like that to keep my mind off when I shut down. But when I do shut down is when I'm creative, when I come up with all my ideas. It's like a free-flowing thing. But it literally is almost like you shut a gauge off. I personally do, and everything goes to the left, and I just deal with it like that. Because I know if I give myself that free time, things creep up that you don't want to think about all the time if you're dealing with issues. So I wonder if in those tests, do you guys like take into effect people that purposely click off and just shut that off purposely, like as a self preservation?
I don't know your particular personal situation, but in regards to the likes of the instinct that I'm talking about, I'm going to give you an example of that instinct at work. I was speaking to some soldiers who were serving in Afghanistan, and going out on duty one particular day, their CO happened to say, now we're going out on one of the most dangerous roads in Iraq. And if there is anyone within the caravan that picks up on something, that something isn't right, please say so. We'll stop, we'll listen, and we'll decide. That was the key. Now, these were British soldiers that I was speaking to. Meanwhile, as they were pulled over because something didn't feel right, there was an American caravan that overtook them and went on up the road, and they were hit. So again, that's the instinct that I'm talking about. It's not a case of, well, I've got to pay whoever for this, I don't want to deal with that, or whatever the case may be. No, this is an instinctual thing about your existence. That's the whisper that's coming through.
I get it. I think it's I guess what I'm trying to say, it's the wanting to listen to the whisper. Like in other words, I get a lot of gut feelings. Guys, you can drink. I think it's an Italian thing. My family, that's how we grew up as Italians. Like we have gut instincts. What I'm saying is, though, I sometimes purposely shut myself off from what you know what I mean? I know is right. Is that making sense to you, buddy? Like I don't want to deal with what that gut feeling is, because I know there's more to it.
you feel it and you want to shut it off. I used to do the same thing. I'm like, oh, it's everything else. It's not the ghosts that they talk about. It's just like they're in their heads. It's just what they're feeding into. They're watching ghost hunters late at night. This is what they're seeing on TV. They want it to happen in real. You tell yourself everything else but when you don't want to believe in it. But then when you do want to believe in it, you look a little bit further. Like if it's a Bigfoot, Mike, you chase after it and you don't run away from it. Kind of like
the thing is, whether you believe in it or not, it's still going to interact with you. If you're chosen, it'll still interact, and whether you like it or not. And that's something we have to deal with.
When I first got introduced to the paranormal, I didn't want anything to do with it. I was in a place where I was working. People told me it was haunted. I didn't want to hear any of it, and it still made itself known to me, irregardless. So
no, it's not that I want to ignore it. It's not that at all. It's that what I guess what I'm saying is, I just know that certain people have gut instincts and they just immediately go with it. Some people have gut instincts and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to open up more. A can of worms is I guess where I'm coming from. Joe, you've been sitting there very silently, very patiently. You have a question?
So Mike's going to kill me for this, but Barry, I just want to say that if 10-year-old me was like knowing that I'd be sitting here getting the opportunity just to say hello to you and just like have a conversation, I'd probably lose it. So it's an honor to actually be able to talk to you. Buddy can attest, when I met Joe Chin for the first time, it was very similar. Because I am 30. I'm the youngins that grew up watching Ghost Hunters and then eventually GHI and where everything went. And me personally, my paranormal interests literally did start with Ghost Hunters. I lived in Apponaug when the first office was in Apponaug, and then I moved up towards Work Vets up West Shore Road, right where the second office went. So I was always growing up just always watching taps. But that being said, with the new venture that you're doing with your YouTube channel, is there any like mythical or lore or legend that you've kind of come across that's really maybe not piqued your interest, but just gripped you, something that you've kind of favorited in your mind or that you've just really loved delving into?
There's one that I've delved into, which part of me regrets delving into, and it's called the Island of the Dead. And that particular place it really changed my paradigm of what I thought the paranormal was, and connected me into something which I hadn't even considered. And in fact, the latest book that I'm writing, The Fruit of the Gods, follows on the back of the experiences on the Island of the Dead and how extreme they were, and leads me right back into the annals of Babylon, because a lot of the ancient practices that were being practiced here were originating back in Babylon. And in fact, it was only recently that I discovered that GHI had also stumbled onto that while we were investigating Dracula's Castle. And it was 10 years later that I made the discovery. I went, oh my God, what the hell were they playing at Dracula's Castle? So yeah, it's a weird one. And the Island of the Dead was a very, very extreme place. It was a place of oracle. It was a place that you went to experience. And my God, the experience was horrific. But it served the purpose, because it had to change my paradigm. There's interference coming through there, but I think it's stopped now.
Maybe the people from the Island of the Dead.
Yeah, that was weird. I wasn't sure. It sounded like someone turned a faucet on. I thought it was me here. I don't know. That was actually really creepy, for being honest.
So Barry, you had a very horrific experience on the island of the dead.
Hmm.
That seems like that makes sense when I say it in a sentence. I know it doesn't make sense that it happened to you, but
Yeah.
Island of the Dead, bad experience.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be the Island of the Happy. Island of the Dead. So it changed the way you even look at things.
Yes.
So to me, that has to tell me that it opened up a whole other compartment side of things that you weren't maybe considering or have experienced.
Never considered. And in fact, I would have to say that it changed my paradigm of what I thought the paranormal was. And it was such an extreme experience that it did point me, and it was like being lifted off one set of railway tracks and placed onto another.
Okay, was it a negative? Obviously, it was negative. However, the path
at the time, I thought it was negative. Okay. But 10 years later, I'm now reviewing it and thinking, this may not have been negative after all, but it needed to be that extreme for me to pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I say that all. Yeah, the biggest thing, bad things happen, and then if you get old, like they're not as old as me, not even close. When you get old, you look back and you go, if that bad thing didn't happen, this good thing would have never happened 4 years later. So that's I get that. That's what the experience. So I can see that. If it changed your outlook, it feels like, did you lose hope? Did it take a little faith from you to shake you that much?
Yes, I had to reevaluate what I thought I was going after. And the latest book that I brought out, The Deceptions of Gods and Men, steps into that arena. And it puts across the solid hypothesis that what we're dealing with is possibly coming from one source. And that there is a common thread that weaves through not only the paranormal, but that thread also weaves through into ufology, into cryptozoology. And we find huge amounts of crossovers and connections that are identical. The only problem is that we have masks in which either we place the masks onto the phenomena or it places the masks onto it for us to interpret. And that in itself can be very deceptive. And by removing the mask, we're able to track the phenomena in which it interacts with us. And that has led us all the way back to Babylon.
Wow. So basically the paranormal world, which the term paranormal has come to encompass so much.
Yes.
Like just so much. But I think on one of the first or second shows we ever did, I proposed the fact that could all of it be connected? Everything from the ghost to the this to the that to this. And I think one of our first guests told me no. I think I got shunned. But I was like, well, why can't it all be connected? Because it all seems like it's on a different, I don't know, honestly, plane, just a different wavelength. How about that? There's a different vibration going through, and that there's something different.
To quote Stranger Things, I think you mean the upside down.
The upside down.
I've never watched Stranger Things. I'll apologize for that right now.
Mike.
I have 2 kids. I have 2 dogs. Like, what am I going to do?
You're 18, Mike. Come on. It's the upside down. It's Stranger Things. Everybody's doing it.
I watched Norm Macdonald stand up again for like now the 6th time. And then I watched the Bill Burr one, the new one, for a few times. And then I watched the Slash documentary. So I got things to do, buddy. And the Giants.
You remember the 1980s?
Get off my case.
Well, take my word for it, though, is what you're describing is, even though it's a fictional show, they do a pretty good job of kind of towing that line of how that paranormal in our world could be connected to some kind of universe or thread that, we're here and that thread might be here or here, and how they weave together in
awesome music. Awesome
right now, Barry has no idea what we're talking about. Barry, let me ask you this. The dragons really like, I want to know about this because
I think they did.
There's too many stories of dragons. Like passed down.
Yes.
But I have such a hard time with dragons, and I'll tell you why. It's just the fire breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I could actually get to a place where I could believe that there was like a prehistoric pterodactyl type animal still going. It's just the fire.
Mm.
So where in mythology, if it wasn't actually, well, let me ask you this. Do you believe there really were dragons?
It depends on what you call a dragon. If you're going to go down the medieval depiction of a dragon that has 2 wings and 4 legs and fire breathing, then no.
Okay.
I don't. Those originated from the Celtic perspective, and in their own essence originated from very ancient art of serpent worship. And effectively what these things were giant serpents. The Celts 2,500 years ago, when they came to Ireland, they would not have recognized a medieval description of a dragon. To them, that was utter nonsense. To them, the dragon with its deadly breath was a giant serpent. And that giant serpent was usually connected with gold. Huge amounts of gold reserves, silver, all of that stuff. So Tolkien was correct in his depiction of Smaug, which the dragon, of course, was sitting on top of the gold. In Ireland here we have Croagh, which is a mountain, a high mountain in County Mayo, which was formerly a place of serpent worship of the old pagan faith. Christianity came and put a church right on top of it. But with it being also the seat of the serpent worship, it's also one of Ireland's largest gold reserves. So again, we find the gold, and it's ironic that within the world of TV, we see that depicted within Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. And the idea that we have guys who are identifying things, large deposits under the ground, and they're being told, do not dig the ground, don't open the ground, or you'll start this phenomena off again. And who do you have guarding the ranch with a shotgun? The dragon. One of the scientists there that's involved with the show has a history of developing technology that looks for deep mineral deposits. So you have to wonder what actually are they really looking for? Is it paranormal phenomena, or is it the gold?
Yeah, well, if I'm going to bet a dollar to a dime, they're going for gold. See, what I see that makes sense in my head, maybe not in your heads, but if I had a large deposit of gold back in the day and I wanted to guard it, and I was a serpent worshiper, then by golly, I would probably try to go out and find the biggest serpent I could, anaconda, something like that, maybe a python. Joey, I don't know.
Dragons are pretty badass.
I'll pick it out when I find it, but I would find the biggest snake I could.
I should point out that Ireland never had serpents.
But
there was something of a spiritual connotation to that, and that came down. That originated, of course, in Babylon and came through Europe and down and through Scotland and into Ireland, because the mounds themselves that they built, those were the places that they went to meet these serpents. And it was noted through the Nordic countries that when a person died, their spirit left, that was gone, but their soul remained for several days or weeks. And when the soul was brought to an island, hence Island of the Dead, when the body was brought to the island, the soul moved from the body and entered these doorways to the other realm, these passage chambers. But before they went into the stone passage chamber, they went through a stage of metempsychosis, which is where it changes its appearance. It was known as a serpent. So the gatekeepers of the world of knowledge, because these things brought back knowledge with them, which of course built the great Akashic records or global consciousness. These things had access to that. So now we have depictions in the modern sense of the serpent being the knowledgeable one. Well, that was always the case. From thousands of years, we've already known that the serpents were the ones who gave the knowledge. But the go-between between the serpent and the king and the priest was always a female, the oracle. Now you've got this disconnect within modern religion where you've got the serpent and the female being demonized together. Eve and the serpent, the great serpent, who brought her to the tree of knowledge. So that again, that's a history lesson we won't go into now. But
well, basically, it's basically saying that women are to blame for everything.
But pretty much, yeah, they definitely did get the raw end of the stick.
Yeah, no, I get that. I read that loud and clear. That came through pretty good. So here's the thing. Here's what scared me though. So you're talking about how there's serpents below, or they guard things down below, and they were told not to dig at this certain area. And then you talked about, we go back, your experience at the quarry and how it changed everything, and it was very negative. So I keep thinking quarries, I know where they are. I know where they go. So were you dealing with, you don't have to tell me flat out, but was it something serpentine that you were dealing with that changed your paradigm? On
the island of the dead, absolutely. Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm not afraid to say that. Absolutely. So, and a lot of this particular phenomena that I now hunt happens around rock strata. So you've got huge plains of rock, or cliff faces, or caves. A lot of the phenomena will appear there. And in fact, one of my nemesis now are the shining ones, or the bright ones, because these things are not what they depict themselves to be. That's something that I challenge all the time. Those are the ones that I go after. And within ufology, we know them now as the Nordics. Well, pain in the ass they are indeed. But there's something that I really go after, all guns blazing.
I can't believe you get yourself in situations like that to begin with. Like, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, seriously, I don't have that want or stamina to get myself involved with these beings. And it doesn't seem like, man, if it seems serpentine, there's just something about the snake that's been around and has been through everything, even in like the United States. It always appears on like all these weird logos and weird flags and just weird stuff all the time. And if you go back, that's where it kind of comes from. So my question you would be, was it scary that it made sense? My question is, like, the negative side. Did the negative side make any sense to you? Because that would scare me the most. Like, if I ever like a serial killer made sense to me, I'd be like, holy shit, like, what's wrong with me? Like, where I connect with them. So what I'm trying to get to is, was there anything that was like negative that was told to you that you felt was like actual truth that would be like just ruining just a...
From my perspective, I'm always adamant, this is something that I keep pushing, that no matter what we're communicating with, make sure that we're solid with it. Know what it is, be confident about what it is, and don't be afraid to ask it questions. If your guide, or your whatever you want to believe it to be, if that has got your best interests at heart, well, then it will not mind a few questions for clarity. What we tend to find nowadays is that when we get suspicious of what's coming through, and we say, just like Columbo, one more thing, they will hightail it out of there. That is the clue to the deception, and the deception is huge, absolutely huge. Now, to date, although it was the initial encounter terrified me beyond anything else, they have not sent me wrong. And I have waited for it. I have watched for it, but it has not happened yet. So all the information that has been coming through, and a lot of the information is absolutely exceptional. I would not have found on my own. Many of my books that I've wrote, I would not have found that information on my own. So there is a level of communication that does happen, but you got to be sure what you're communicating with.
Right.
That's imperative, because nowadays we live in a society where we're exceptionally fast. We have to have communication like that. Is anyone there? Can you give me a sign that you're here? And we don't ask any questions as to who exactly or what exactly are you. And that's a big problem. Not only that, but with the intent of opening a doorway, even from using Ouija boards, whatever the case may be, whatever you're using, whether it be even a laser pointer to commune with an alleged UFO that flies over your head, that instigates the doorway. That intent is there. We rarely, in a modern sense, we rarely close the door.
I gotta go for this one. Let me ask something, Barry. So we've had a pair of brotherly twins, if you will, demonologists on this show. One who will state that demons are very rare, and as investigators, we never see them. The other one says the opposite. He says that everything that we encounter as investigators are demons, are negative entities, are something that's out to get us, and that's why we're hearing them. What's your feel on this? Are they dead people, or are they demons, or are they something else? What do you think?
When again, when we use the term demons, they're preloaded. So we've got this idea of shadowy creatures or little tiny black imps with tridents. Those are all preloaded titles. So we have to stop using them. Now, do we have something there that is a high level of deception that comes through the veil? Absolutely, without a question of a doubt. And what is their ultimate gain? He who owns the body wins. That's exceptionally important for them. He who owns the body wins. They do not want to go back to where they come from. Right. That again, we've done the paper trace in that. We have seen where they appear. There's been tremendous experiments that were done back in the 1990s in England. And these things were appearing within the confines of these test areas. And in fact, during one of these particular like a Victorian seance that was happening, which was there was a huge amount of scientists that were lining up to get into these experiments. It should be noted that as materialization was happening, and I should say this, that materialization, what I mean by that is when it starts to form solidly. You have one sitter who it put its cold hand onto him. Now he lifted his other hand and was able to follow that up to the elbow, and there was nothing after the elbow. This hand appeared out of nowhere and grabbed him. That was his proof. He understood, okay, this is being presented for me. Me? I'd be inclined to take that arm and put it into a box, and that's coming home for testing. So I would be doing things very, very differently, which is probably why I'm not invited to these anymore. But something else very, very potent happened during up to those series of experiments, in that a gray alien appeared in the seance room. What was a gray alien doing in the seance room? Again, we start to find a common thread that starts to weave through.
I thought it was going to be a joke. Oh, I thought you set me up right there. What's a gray alien doing in a seance room? Like, I don't know.
No joke. Again, and the gray alien is another mask to the fae, to the jinn, to the demon. They're all masks originating from the same source.
So basically, everything that we see as paranormal, from Bigfoot to aliens or whatever, is their way of using something to either control us, scare us, to is it all really a battle of souls? Because this is what I've always claimed, and people really think I'm crazy. I've always think that everything's good and evil. There's always good and evil. Everyone is nuanced. There's no such thing as a good guy, bad guy. And I always feel like there's a constant, legit battle, a power struggle.
Is
that what we're in with these with the surroundings that's going on?
It depends on what we call soul. You see, today we use the term soul and spirit, and it's very interchangeable. That was not the case back in the day. They were seen as two separate bits within this meat suit. So we were part of our own trinity. So for another element, a shadow, to come through the veil and challenge the shadow that's in us, well, then that became problematic because that disturbed the balance, and that continues to this very day. And I remember whenever I wrote a book, it was called The Influence. It looks at how these shadows can influence us on a biological level, where it drives us and how it drives us, and how to spot it and how to turn it back. I was given a warning there at the very beginning of that book, and it said, "Don't become too bright, or they see you." And it's interesting that that there were scientists in Japan recently had carried out a series of experiments to find out that the human body actually does produce light, and it's not related to heat or anything else. It's something completely different, and it seems to emanate from the face more so than anywhere else. And you know, we think about some of the terminology that we use today. Someone entered the room; they just lit the room up. You know, there's a lot of key factors there that we tend to forget. But there was a series of EVP experiments were conducted worldwide, and the same question was being asked time and time again: how do you see us? And the answer kept coming back as light. So it made sense then from the warning that I wrote the book: don't become too bright, or they see you. And that's something that I tend to live my life by. That.
I love that.
But
So you feel it's light and energy. That's what we're dealing with here. It's energy. It's light. It's
it is,
or darkness rather.
Everything though within the universe is a certain energy.
So, but Barry, my question is always to people. They always get into paranormal, like as if they're collecting gifts. They buy all these toys and they open the Ouija board. And I didn't know you had to close out a Ouija board session. I didn't know that. None of these people know this. They're all running around filming stuff. And I keep saying, aren't you afraid that you're going to get to a point where the negative side tries to come in to pay you a visit? And they all, no, I got to control that. And I'm just me going, I can't see how that's possible, man. Because, like, I can't see how that is. Like, because if you make such a stink and you're constantly poking the bear, it's like, if you take a wolf into your house and pretend it's a dog and then it bites you, shame on you. Because it's not a dog. You're going out there. You know what I mean? You're going looking for stuff. You're looking for trouble, in my opinion. So you got to be at least prepared to deal with trouble. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's definitely going to be negative, but I always tell people, aren't you at least preparing yourself for trouble? Barry, nobody is.
No,
nobody does. They're untouchable.
Especially in the modern sense, a lot of folks are out there for and excuse me for my language, but they're out there for shit and that unfortunately is where the problems begin, because the moment that particular energy, I'll use that term, the moment it infiltrates the team, it will eat the team from the inside out. Namely, by one point, it targets their ego. And it will eat them from the inside out. And we see this through ufology, through the paranormal, and time again, teams are getting hit time and time again, and they don't understand why. Because they didn't catch onto the signals that was coming through the devices that they're using to communicate with.
It's human nature. They touch the hot stove. You know what I mean? They just.
Yeah, it is, you know, and I often call it roadkill, because, you know, we're driving down the road, we have a wonderful sandwich in our hands, and we're eating away at it, and we see roadkill, and our brain says, "Don't look, don't look, don't look," and we look. It's this innate thing within humanity that we have to look at the darkness. Whatever that is, I don't know what that is. But in regards to the soul, there's a hypothesis that we put out in the recent book there, the Deceptions of Gods and Men, in which we state that when people have a bad encounter, either a nighttime attack or a UFO abduction, whatever the case may be, weeks after that, days to weeks after that, they start developing these psychic abilities, prophetic abilities. They know things about before they happen and all the rest, and they think that these are gifts. These are not gifts. We put this hypothesis forward. This is our own soul. The soul's job is to keep the meat suit alive as long as possible for the spirit to exist. So the soul is the seat of our psychic abilities. And it's the soul that's stepping forward to try and make sure that that situation does not happen again. And, there are various means in which people think that they have defensive measures in place, covering themselves in white light or group, what do they call it?
Family members guarding over you.
What's that?
Like I cloud myself. I pretend that all my family members are guarding over me at all times.
Right. Okay.
Like my offensive line.
When you have a group of people together, they'll do group protection and things like that. It doesn't work. What I tended to find that there was one particular key thing that worked, and that's it there: iron.
Really?
Amulet of iron is exceptional at defending you as a person, not anybody else. You got to look after yourself. And that's not being selfish. If you're being called in to address a situation of a paranormal nature, you're the first aider. Who's going to look after the goddamn first aider? You've got to look after yourself first. So that is exceptional. That piece of iron is exceptional. And we see the success of that time and time again. And when we consider the likes of, and go back into the ancient books where the Semitic books there, which speak of the incubus and the succubus, and these things that will attack during the night, we can see that 9 times out of 10 they attack women more so than men. But not a lot of people are aware that they attack women when they go through their monthly cycle. When they become anemic, the iron count drops. And for us back in Ireland, if we wanted to defend ourselves against the evil eye or the fairy, because the fairy would have tore the animals apart, the mutilations were the same as what we see within UFO animal mutilations. You put iron up over the doorway to stop them from getting in. And so the iron was always seen as a deterrent. And when the iron drops within our bodies, that's when we can get hit.
The Iron Cross.
The Iron Cross, yeah. The power wasn't in the cross itself; it was within the iron.
The iron,
yeah.
I never knew that. That's weird. I actually have an iron deficiency. Called a Mediterranean anemia trait. It's a Mediterranean, it's an Italian. It's literally an Italian type blood thing, where I have like an iron deficiency.
Yeah,
technically, you guys should be drinking, buddy.
I don't have any more beer. I drank 3 on the show already. But
so, Barry, we're gonna let you get going soon. We're gonna wrap it up because I know it's gonna be past 1 where you are. We appreciate you coming on. We're gonna definitely blame Buddy for you coming on late because it's obviously Buddy's fault. I mean,
somehow it's my fault. Yeah,
he's pretended that he's been living in the mountains now for 6 weeks. We all know he got that from Sears because the trees have not moved, Barry.
A bird flies by every now and again.
Joey, what do you got to say to wrap it up?
The only thing I want to say, and I tend to say this a lot, but this is probably one of the most sincere I could say, Barry. It's been an absolute pleasure to share this little 4 square Connect 4 little box that we're in. It was great just getting to hear you talk and actually be kind of in the conversation and not just hearing you. I'm still seeing you through 4 walls, but it's again just an honor to get to talk to you. It's a pleasure to meet you, and hopefully maybe we can do this again soon.
Well, thank you, Joey, and yes, I'd be honored to do it again.
Buddy.
Oh my God. I would be honored to have you in the same 4-block screen as me again. It's been an absolute honor. Before I get to my last question, which is a good one, Next week, join us if you haven't had enough of Barry Fitzgerald. Eric Knapp will be joining us. He's a paranormal investigator, born and raised in New Hampshire. He's now in Georgia, and he investigates everywhere in between. He's a paranormal investigator. It should be a good show. Tune in. Anyway, Barry. So I gotta say, dude. As a Ghost Hunters is like in Ghost Hunters International are really the only paranormal shows I ever watched. I could care less about Ghost Adventures. I heard they were actors first. I just want to see realism, but I know not everything is real on TV. So we've heard rumors Buddy is in love.
What?
I've heard rumors from different Ghost Hunters over the years that happen to be from the same state that we are from, that certain things might have been faked or choreographed. Is that can you share any truth to that? Is there any truth to the is everything real on TV? Is everything can you talk about that at all?
I can answer for Barry. I can answer for Barry. No, of course it's not all real on TV.
I don't want to hear you. We want to hear Barry.
That's a dumb question, though. Barry, would you walk into traffic? Well, let me tell you why I wouldn't walk into traffic, buddy. But go ahead, Barry. Answer the question. Right.
I was. I'll give you an example of what we went through. I was asked to say that we were doing a scientific investigation for the cameras, and I said no, I'm not saying that. And they said, but you have to because Los Angeles has asked for it. And I said, I don't care. I'm not doing it. We're doing a technical investigation. It's no more scientific than a fly crawling up a wall. Right. We're doing a technical investigation into the paranormal. That's what we're doing. That's what I'll say. They made the phone calls and they go back to me and say, okay, that's what we're saying. The thing was with GHI, I can't talk about any other TV show or whatever the hell was going else anywhere else. I can only talk about our TV show. And what we got, and we called it. And that was it. And the TV crew, I have to say, that worked with us were exceptional because we danced to their tune during daylight hours. But the moment that we switched to IR, they then asked us for advice. And that was exceptional. In fact, I don't know of that happening anywhere else. And in fact, one of the cameramen, Snapper, God rest his soul, he was an exceptional cameraman with me because he knew whenever I was really going to work, that I didn't like extraneous light anywhere else. And in fact, I was adamant that I could get them to turn down the IR of the cameras because that was having an effect on materialization. I got him to work with me on it, and in fact, when I was getting to work and when I was going to do what I was doing, he could feel that air change, and he closed over the viewfinder and made it black for me. I didn't have to say anything. I never had to signal him. He just knew, and that was about working with instinct. He felt it.
That's awesome.
And it was absolutely brilliant. And it was sad. He's sadly missed now, but yeah, he was a cool kid.
I'll tell you. Here's what I've gathered. So I was more of the band scene. So, but here's what I can relate. There's certain people that people still believe in or trust or want to see or want to hear, and it's rare to find them through the paranormal world. Like a lot of people get torn down so quick, much faster actually than rock stars, to the point where like a couple years in, this guy gets slammed. He's saying this, they calling him baloney. He's fake. He faked this. So for you to have the longevity that you've had, and to still have people like Buddy and Joey, literally in like puppy love, where Buddy's leaned in like this, what, like 3 or 4 times to talk to you, as if like that's getting close to you. It's on a video call. It doesn't make a difference.
It's the Irish accent, to be honest with you. I'm Irish, so it's...
No. You just were trying to get as close as you could. You wanted Barry to really see you. That's all. That's all. It's weird, but I appreciate that, Barry. And the thing is, like, I'm really enjoying the YouTube videos. Like, I'm really getting into that stuff as like the late guy to the party. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying your voiceovers. I appreciate everything you said. I like where you come from. I like the idea that you do. I don't like the idea that you had that experience, but I like the idea that you do talk about the risk factor of, you want to walk the line. If you want to walk the tightrope without a net, keep in mind if you fall, we told you there's no net. That's basically what. I appreciate hearing that said, because I don't know. I feel like some people act like they're so brazen and so untouchable that it's a very bad thing to do in this particular field, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Barry, is there anything else you'd like to discuss, plug before we wrap it up?
If folks are interested in my latest book, also available in audiobook, it's available on Amazon. It's called The Deceptions of Gods and Men, and they can also find other information about me from my website, which is charmsdealer.com.
Charmsdealer.
Charmsdealer. Yeah.
Let me change this. Charms Dealer. Oh, okay. Maybe this up there. Yeah, Barry, if you ever want to do like a version of that book in Italian, well, not really Italian, like broken English Italian. You let me know. I'll be there for you. Charmsdealer.com right there, baby. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go around on this. Barry, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. We apologize again for Buddy being with the dates and times.
Buddy is always on
around here. So on August 14th, 2022, for Barry Fitzgerald, Joey Paranormal, Buddy Money there. It is me, Mike Leprey King, Mike Elders was Legit Paranormal, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. This Thursday, we have our Legit Paranormal party at the Pollard. That's a lot of P's for me to say in one sentence. We will have 6 presenters all coming up, talking about paranormal world, what their experiences are, with no gadgets, no dolls, no sort of like audio files, nothing. It's going to be just like a stand-up, kind of like presented to the crowd party. And I plan on drinking. Just wrapped up the Legit Paranormal movie that we did over the weekend, the 48-hour film festival. That has a viewing at the Met. I believe that's next Tuesday. We will let you know more
it's this Tuesday.
It's this Tuesday,
Mike.
Yep, the 16th.
Bitch. So then 2 days we get that, and then on the Thursday we got the show. I can barely breathe. Guys, thank you so much. We will see you again next Sunday. We are done. Barry Fitzgerald, August 14th.